Hey everybody, welcome back to another one of our weekly podcasts. I am flying solo this week. Keen and Ryan are, where are they? They are off-site doing some PPC training with a client, so it's just me this week. I suppose we'll start by looking at the news as usual. Big thing this week, probably the biggest SEO news this week, is that Adobe have bought Semrush for $1.9 billion. Fairly big move. It changes the landscape of, I guess, digital marketing tools. They've now agreed to pick up Semrush in a all cash deal that's valued at 1.9 billion. The plan here, I think, is to fold Semrush's SEO and data tools into the Adobe Experience Cloud for the purpose of tracking visibility across search, AI platforms. And Adobe have said themselves that this acquisition, it's all about brand visibility in this kind of new agentic AI era. Now, Semrush, over the last few months, anyone who's used it will know they've pivoted in a big way towards geo, and they've added a heap of different AI features and tools for brand monitoring and AI and AI search. So yeah, I think the deal is expected to close in the first half of 2026. So big news and an interesting one, I think, strategically. Probably makes sense. Adobe, they own all the creation tools like Photoshop, Premiere, Gen Studio, and now they have the measurement layer as well. So I guess they're kind of trying to create maybe a one-stop shop. Kind of backs up what we probably already know, that the future is geo, generative engine optimization. Like Adobe, by the sounds of it, they're not buying a keyword or a site audit tool. They bought an AI visibility tool. So yeah, again, the bigger buys, they see the future as generative engine optimization and optimizing for AI answers rather than just the usual blue links. I think there's probably a few questions. I think we even have a few questions. I think the big one is what can anyone who uses SEMrush now expect? In my own limited experience and maybe limited knowledge of Adobe software, I think it tends to be a more at the enterprise level, and it probably isn't, I don't know, is it well known for being cheap or even lightweight, whereas a lot of SEOs, agencies and smaller companies, they would rely on SEMrush. So I guess the immediate fear is what happens next, can we expect subscriptions to double? How is it going to be packaged? What's going to be rolled into it? Because the other thing is SEMrush, over the last few years, they've done a little bit of acquiring of their own. They bought Backlinko and a couple of others, and I think didn't they buy the publishing lads who own Search Engine Journal? So how's that going to fit in? Yeah, but I think maybe overall for the industry, I think SEO is officially now big tech. I think maybe at a time when the industry itself is back to being, one foot in the grave and SEO is dead, this maybe validates the entire industry. I think Adobe dropping nearly $2 billion kind of confirms that SEO and obviously GEO is a priority for companies. So that's kind of a good backing, I guess, of the industry overall. Interesting now too is I think Ahrefs is probably the last independent SEO tool left, is it? I don't know, maybe now it's the cool alternative for agencies. But yeah, any thoughts, drop them in the comments. I have nobody here with me today to add thoughts, so there we go. What else happened this week? I guess the other big news was Google launched Gemini 3, which they're now describing as their most intelligent model to date. That came as a bit of a surprise to me, actually. I was expecting a less advanced model. But anyway, according to Google, Gemini 3 represents a significant leap forward, and it has all these, like a boatload of cool features like advanced reasoning, multimodal understanding, powerful agentic capabilities, meaning that it can take action rather than just process text, and with the agentic features, it can help you plan a trip to Madrid or just declutter your inbox. So what was interesting, and I think it's a first from Google, is the new model. They're integrating it into search on day one via the AI mode, which is kind of rolling out for Google AI Pro and Ultra customers in the US. They're starting with the Gemini 3 Pro variant, and then they're going to roll it out to everybody else in the future. It's looks pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool. It's this advanced reasoning. It's apparently knows better the search intent behind things. So it's Google saying like it's built to grasp the unprecedented depth and nuance of the complex questions that it gets asked, and it should be able to tackle, like harder questions and like the trickier ones that the previous model struggle with. Like it's, when they're saying it's the best model in the world for multimodal understanding, so it can process all types of data like at the same time, like text, audio, video, images. It can do all that simultaneously rather than having to do it separate. Like the example for the multimodal features that Google gave is that it could take a handwritten recipe in a different language, translate that, and then turn it into a cookbook. Or you could upload a video of you playing a sport like golf, and it can point out areas where you can improve, and then it can even build you out like a training plan. And then it has this supercharged query fan out. So it has this enhanced query fan out. This is a thing it uses in all its models where it doesn't look at just one main query, the thing you search for. It brings in all the related queries as well. And now, because it understands intent better, Google says that it has a broader, or can give a broader and deeper background with these query fan outs to find searches that like uncover content that might have been missed previously. And then to go along with it, there's the agentic features. Google again says this is the best model in the world for vibe coding, and agentic coding is the best one they've ever built. And it can now like plan ahead over very long like time frames, and it can handle more complicated multi-step tasks. So again, we've been kind of seeing these things pop in over like the last few months, but like the basis for this is the Gemini agent feature, which can kind of do tasks on your behalf. So like it can review and organize your emails, it can plan, book flights or trips. And then the generative AI. So this is a little tool that they're testing in the Gemini labs. So when you ask a question in AI mode, Gemini 3 doesn't just give you back like a text answer. It's able to generate like these different, I don't know, like visual layouts and interactive tools, and build simulations based on what you asked it. And it's able to do that like in real time. Like the example they have, the link is on the bottom there, but the example that they have is a question about DNA, and it kind of builds out like a code sequence of DNA so you can see how it works. So yeah, look, a lot to unpack there, probably lots that I forgot to mention, but I think this is something, we're fully in the era of generative user interfaces and user experiences, and I think if Google can deliver on what they're promising here, that's probably like a massive game changer. Like you're moving from a very kind of a static model of the web where you click on a link to find a tool, to a version now where the search engine builds the tool for you. So I don't know. I mean, how could businesses compete with something like that when you can instantly kind of code out something within the search engine? I suppose the other buzzword here again is agentic. By the sounds of it, Gemini 3, it's not going to be just like a passive tool. It's going to be able to act and reason and plan and carry out tasks for you. Like you might never have to search for a flight or a hotel again. Like with this kind of stuff, I always think of the Simpsons episode when Homer is the garbage commissioner, and he's just promising that they can do all these things. But sure, look, we'll see. I think the day one integration is interesting as well. Google putting out what they're saying is their newest and best ever model into search immediately instead of keeping it separate in like a chatbot or something. It's probably a lot more forward, maybe even more, I don't know, aggressive than we've kind of seen from Google before. It's really establishing dominance kind of vibes, so interesting to see where it'll all end up. Again, any comments, any thoughts, just drop them in under the video. So sticking with Google this week, for this week's deep dive, we're going to take a quick look at a brand new feature that they've added to Search Console. It's designed to solve probably one of the biggest headaches for SEOs, and that's separating out your branded and your non-branded keywords. So that's people who already know you versus people who just found you. And yeah, maybe after a decade of people asking, they've finally added a branded queries filter to Google Search Console. You can kind of see it there on the slide is how it looks. So what is it? It's designed to help analyze your queries that are driving traffic to your site by automatically splitting them into two buckets. That's branded and non-branded queries. So branded queries, these are searches from people who are already familiar with you. Like they know your brand, they search for your brand. But this new filter, it's able to kind of pick that up, but it also picks up misspellings of your brand name, or even specific products associated with your brand, like sticking with Google. So if someone searches for Google but type in like goggle, it's able to identify that, or it's able to identify things like Gmail and tie that back then to the query. And then for your non-branded queries, this is of course everything else. This is the organic bucket where people find your content without any initial intent to go specifically to you or to your site. They find you through like a search. So how does the branded query filter work in Search Console? It's not just a manual keyword filter. You don't have to type in every variation of your names and stuff. It just lives in the search results performance report. You can apply the filter across all search types, so web, image, video, news, and then it lets you see like all the key metrics that you can see in Search Console. So your clicks, impressions, click-through rates, limited just to your branded searches. Plus, they've added a new card to the Insights report that gives you a quick visual breakdown of your branded v non-branded clicks, which is great for a quick health check on your brand recognition. Again, this is something you might see in other third-party tools where it'll show you the branded v non-branded. So then how does it identify brands? Well, this is kind of the interesting bit. So it's not based on any regular expressions or manual keywords. Instead, Google is saying it uses like an internal AI assisted system. So it's smart enough to catch like your brand name across all languages, different typos and variations. And something that's really cool is that queries that don't include your brand name but clearly refer to your product or services. It's very, very smart detection, and should be really, really useful for SEOs. Something that Google do have is a disclaimer there saying that it has no actual effect on rankings, and occasional misidentifications may occur due to the dynamic nature of the tool. Now, I logged in this morning and we don't actually have access to it yet. So if you log in and you don't see it, don't panic. It wasn't available, like I said, for our own properties or properties we manage, and I couldn't see it. And there are, 3 reasons for that. One, it's a gradual rollout, so this is something you'll probably see over the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye on your Search Console. Whether it shows up depends on the property type. It's only available for top level properties, so top level domains. If you're looking for URL path properties or subdomains, then you're not going to see it. And then of course, with a lot of these new tools, there's a volume element. Google says that it's only for sites with sufficient volume of queries. So again, a lot of smaller sites that don't get a lot of queries or get a small amount of the same queries, it might not trigger the signals needed for the AI to show you this. But yeah, overall, this should be a really helpful tool for SEOs and companies to better understand your traffic patterns without necessarily having to pay for a third-party tool. Branded queries, we know they usually have a very high click-through rate and high rankings, but your non-branded is where you'll measure your real SEO growth. And now finally, after a long time of asking, we can finally measure those out separately without the headache. Google Search Console. So helpful tool of the week. Sure, I'm just going to stick with Search Console for this. Search Console, if you haven't used it, it's a great tool for analyzing your own data. And unlike some other third-party tools that might give you estimates rather than actual data, Google gives you your exact data directly from Google, and you can look at your clicks, impressions, specific keywords, queries that are driving traffic to your site. It also highlights and lets you fix any indexing errors when Google can't crawl your page or index your page due to things like fuzz or server issues. It shows it there and you can fix it so your content actually does appear then in search results. It can help a little bit to speed up rankings. You can manually submit sitemaps, or you can manually submit individual URLs to request that they're indexed, so you can get your new content in there and ranked faster without maybe waiting for Google to find it and crawl it. And then lastly, this is the only direct communication channel where Google will let you know of any manual actions or penalties or security breaches across your site. Yeah, if you don't use it, or you use it a little bit, pop in, have a look at your Google Search Console, and then Google Trends of the week. So this is just something I pulled out of Google Trends this morning. Manny Stone Roses, I think Manny from the Stone Roses passed away last night, which is very sad. Big one there. It was kind of a bigger trend earlier in the week, but the Czech Republic football. Ireland obviously were drawn with Czechia. Is that how you say it? for the World Cup qualifiers there. The French Army, don't know about that. Enoch Burke is back to his old tricks. Black Friday, I think that's next week. So yeah, and then plane crash in Waterford happened yesterday. Again, very sad. But yeah, those are the big trends for the week. So the Ask the Expert section. So the experts well and truly are not with us this week. It's just me. So let's see, I pulled just something out of the top of the client questions we got, and that's: will having duplicate content harm my rankings? Yes, having duplicate content can harm your rankings. Not a penalty as such, but it creates nearly like a ceiling for how well you can actually rank. A big thing I think to remember, and maybe something that people don't necessarily realize, is that it's not just copying something from a different site. It's applies to like your own site, your own content too. For example, if you have multiple pages that are reusing the same text, or you have the same title tags or meta descriptions or whatever, for example, like that would count. And the big issue with duplicate content is that it creates confusion for Google. So if you throw two pages at Google are nearly identical, let's say we have two blog posts about SEO tips, you're forcing the search engine to choose, and it doesn't know which is the main copy. It doesn't know which is the one that you want to rank. So it ends up splitting the ranking, or it just ends up ranking neither of them. Like, Google's whole thing is putting out results that are unique and have value. So if your page is just a carbon copy of something else or of a different page on your site, then in Google's eyes, is there a reason for it to exist in the search results at all? There we go. Very quick one this week, I think. Hopefully next week we'll have Ryan and Cian back again, as always. Any questions, comments, just throw them down below and we will get back to you. Thanks very much, guys.